Good morning. This is Dwayne, and today I'd like to talk about matching the left-hand chords to the right-hand melody. I had a student that asked me, they said, Dwayne, I just play by ear. I don't really read music, and how do I figure out, I can pick out a melody okay, but how do I figure out what chords go with it? In other words, if I'm playing a tune, let's take a tune at random. Michael rowed the boat ashore, okay? How do I pick what chords to match on the left hand? Well, as you know, you can play any chords you want on the left hand, but it doesn't always sound good. So it's helpful to know some things about how to match the chords on the left hand to the right hand melody. So the first thing I'd say is watch what the melody does. The melody goes, okay, what are those three notes? That makes a chord, doesn't it? You probably know that's a C chord, but even if you didn't know anything about chords, you can see that forms a combination of tones, okay? So that's the C chord. You could play that in the left hand, couldn't you? And that sounds fine. So far, so good. Now the note goes to A. Now that doesn't sound really good there. So how would you know what note? Would you put the A chord with it? That doesn't sound right. How would you know what to use with it? Well, I'll tell you a secret. In any given key, there's three primary chords, three main chords that are called family chords. They're used more than any others. And if you know what those chords are, then you can match most melodies with just those three chords. So if you're playing in the key of C, which you are, if you're starting out like that with the C chord, the three primary chords are the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. The 1 chord goes like that, C chord. The 4 chord is built on the 4th to go to the scale, which would make it F, and the 5 chord is built on the 5th note of the scale, which would be G, okay? So let me ask you a question. The note is A. Which chord contains an A? Does the C chord contain an A? No. Does the G chord contain an A? No. Does the F chord contain an A? Yes. So that matches, doesn't it? It matches the melody note. So let's try that. We'll play the C chord, F chord, now it goes back to G. Now the next note that we stay on for a while is the D chord. Let me ask you a question. Is D part of the C chord? No. Is it part of the F chord? No, it doesn't sound bad, but it's not part of it. Is it part of the G chord? Yes. Okay, so we can use G to harmonize that. Okay, we're not going to worry about quick notes. In other words, see, we don't stay in that A very long. It's when we stay on a note that we want to make sure we harmonize it. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. C, F, G. Okay, so we pretty well harmonized the whole piece, okay? Now what can we do to make that a little more interesting? Well, we don't have to just hold the note. We could play on every beat, for example. Let's try that. Or we could do something like this. See, I'm just breaking up the notes. Now, if you're more advanced, of course, then there's other techniques you can use. Let me just quickly talk about, if you're more advanced and you hear a melody like this. Okay, now notice how jagged the melody is. Up, down, up, down, up, down. If we were going to draw that melody as a pattern, it would be a real jagged line, wouldn't it? Like so, okay? Now, if for those that this is for people that are more advanced. If you see a jagged line like that, you probably have a strong suspicion, if you know music theory, that you're probably dealing with the circle of fifths. You're probably going around the circle of fifths, and that's exactly the case on that tune. You're going around the circle of fifths, which I won't get into details. By the way, I have videos on circle of fifths on YouTube. You can just look it up. Anyway, that was just a little preview of how you can harmonize chords in the left hand, and that was a very basic lesson for those who don't even read music and are just getting started. So, if you like this sort of thing, come on over to Play Piano and sign up for our free newsletter on chords and chord progressions and all things related to the piano. So, we'll see you there. Bye-bye for now.